fucking quiet. Why are you so quiet?
Because I had to fucking unplug and replug everything because of cable management. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, because you are incredibly quiet. Like, I can't hear a word you're saying. Mr. Smokin', how you doing, brother? How's everyone doing? Thank you so much for all the follows. Really appreciate all of you. Can you guys see us? You should be able to see us. We could probably stop this music now and get some proper music going. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the After Show, episode 2. Episode 2. We're dealing with technical difficulties because Apocalypse PC broke, apparently. Who fuck knows why.
Break. I just had to do a load of cable management because got new stuff.
Christ, you're quiet. Like, is he quiet just for me, or do you guys find him very quiet as well?
Like, my volume's turned up all the way, dude. I don't know what you want me to do.
No, you are fucking super quiet, dude. I mean, super fucking quiet, dude. Like, I can turn you up to 200%. Speak now.
Balls. Testicles.
No, I think your Discord is going through your laptop. Now you're basically just dead. Like, nothing. Cocky, how you doing, brother? Huggy Smog, is this the show? This is the after show. Carpy, how you doing? Raybit, how you doing? CDJ, how you doing, brother? Elodie, how you doing? Alright, while we wait for him, so how's everyone doing? Is there anyone that wasn't there for the show? That literally just came in? Smoker, no. Yeah, I can't hear a word he's saying either.
Like, it should be fine. Discord is telling me that I am up to, like, red line on the check.
Not for me, you're not. Hey, not for me, you're not. For me, I can't hear shit. Sun Goddess, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Really appreciate that. 10 months in a row. Thank you. Teriyaki, how you doing, brother? Wait, quickly speak again, Apocalypse.
Testicles. Big, hairy testicles being turned into fruit baskets.
Okay, thank you. Speak again.
Bigger testicles. Zovaal has gigantic poops.
Alright, do it again.
Smaller testicles for everyone in chat that has not subbed or will not sub because they don't like Twitch.
Alright, there we go. I've basically boosted you to fuck now. It's not on my end either. Like, my voice is, everything's going fine, but I boosted you on my end now to fuck, and it's coming through right, so I'm not sure. The next time I get onto Discord voice,
I'm gonna be definitely
my eardrum's gonna blow.
Like, I don't know, like last week we had the issue of your wavelink not even picking me up until you put me into browser, so maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Everything's weird. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but
Windows update, dude.
I haven't done the Windows update. I'm still on Windows 10. I will not. By the way, who here in chat is going to Windows 11? Who's decided that they're going to do Windows 11?
You want to go to Windows 11 if you've got the brain chip vaccine, right?
Oh shit. By the way, Hope Brixa, thank you so much for the subs. Really appreciate that. To all of you, thank you. Now when I'm alive, I mean, I'll go to Windows 11 when it's been tested. Like, I don't have an issue with Windows 11 per se. I just wouldn't go to Windows 11 now.
Dude, I fucking hate Windows. Like, I genuinely do. I got a new laptop, like 2 days ago. Wait, you got a new
laptop?
Yeah, the potato finally died. The one that was held together with tape and cardboard.
What laptop do you have now?
This little laser, it's a lovely little thing.
Okay. Can it play games, or is it literally just a streaming one?
That one is just for like Skype, Discord, watching YouTube and Twitch. The one I'm on right now is the Alienware. That's the one I stream from and the one I actually play games on because it can handle it. But that one was just meant for admin stuff, writing stuff, everyday bullshit stuff.
Ah, okay. Adelia, thanks for doing sub. Really appreciate the 10 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To everyone that is subbing, and of course everyone that is triggering this Kamar strain. Comrades, it is appreciated. You guys redistributing your wealth to me will not be forgotten in the new regime. I will promote all of you to government employees.
That's paid nepotism right there. That's the way to do it.
Brixie, I'm here for the first time, following over from YouTube. I love watching you. Bro, I'm so happy to hear that. Happy to have you for the first time. Fucking hell. Ladies and gentlemen, is this your first time on Twitch or your first time watching me on Twitch? Because if it's your first time on Twitch, we're going to have to do a little something. Yeah, okay, and hookers? Yeah. Why not?
I feel bad for the people that's their first time ever on Twitch and they're coming over just for you.
Anticipated first timers pog. Oh yeah. First time watching you on Twitch because you mentioned it on YouTube. So I'm happy to have all of you here. If this is your first time on Twitch, allow me to welcome you, but also to warn you. The Twitch is more degenerate, like far more degenerate than YouTube. Anything goes on Twitch. You can say whatever you want. You can talk about whatever you want. I'm more open to basically doing and talking about whatever the fuck. And also, this is far more animated and also far angrier. When I rant on Twitch, I fucking rant on Twitch.
God, what was your rant about the other fucking day that had people just losing their mind?
Was it WoW again? Probably.
Probably. It was the one that I was being yelled at by chat to clip, and it was like a 5-minute fucking rant. There's no way you can clip that long. It has to be a highlight.
Yeah. I did record the rant. Oh, it was about the mount. I did record the rant.
Yes.
I wasn't actually planning on ranting, just to be fair. I was planning to make a video about the mount, like you do, you know? And it ended up being like I ended up screaming into the mic. I was very fucking angry about that mount. That's why I said, don't get me started on the mount. I don't want to talk about it again. I've been riled up about that fucking mount enough times now to where I don't need to be riled up about it again.
What makes me laugh about that fucking mount is the weird people that are just high on the like ultra copium that think this means there's going to be a whole brand new storyline coming that's like sun related because the mount was sun related. We've had that like 3 times in a row now and they've still just dicked on Anche the entire time.
I mean, look, what surprises me is the amount of copium that some people are on. It's surreal to me.
Right.
It's surreal that there are so many people that just copium, just like absolute don't give a fuck. I'm okay with this mount. This mount means that it's the beginning for World of Warcraft. I actually had someone argue with me saying that the mount is good because Blizzard needs to keep paying salaries, and it's like,
how does that logic work?
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Like, do they really think that enough people are going to buy that shitty fucking mount that, like, it's going to pay anyone's salary, let alone fucking everyone's?
Oh, yeah. Brixer, this is far more non-censored. I would say, okay, so in terms of censorship, on my channels at least, it goes like this. Twitter first. I don't censor myself at fucking all on Twitter. Like, I say whatever the hell I want. I'm blocked by the majority of Blizzard employees on Blizzard because I keep calling them out for the bullshit that they pull. Then Twitch, then YouTube, and then Instagram. That will be sort of the hierarchy. On YouTube, I'm far more censored. Like, because I understand that the people on YouTube want specific types of content, you know? And I don't want to, like, I want to give them content that they don't care about. Whereas on Twitch, if you don't want to watch Twitch, you're welcome to fuck off. It's as simple as that. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that to piss people off or to shit on my viewers. Not at all. But short
that's
and
what
long
I'm
of
here
it,
for.
yeah, short and long of it is no one invited you, right? If you don't want to be here, it's not like we invited you.
I mean,
You
that's
came
not
here
true.
of
You
your own
did just
accord.
ask everyone to come over from YouTube, so you did invite.
But they decided to come in. No one said that you
They
have to be
accepted
here.
the invite.
Yeah. They can leave at any given point in time. There's good social media stock, though. They treat investors also better than Facebook. Yeah, fuck that. Fuck Twitter, bro. I hate Twitter. I use Twitter. I hate Twitter. Right, as the stream starts, I'm leaving for the cinema. No. Lunari, how you doing? What are you going to go watch?
I
Lassie is
genuinely
babbling.
hope it's anything better than this.
Oh my god, here we go. The old school viewers, people who have literally been subbed for almost a year going, oh, this is my first time here. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, you missed Morny pull that one out earlier as well.
Yeah. There's a collective finger for all of you. Moni, this one's for you. Lassie, this one is for you. Put them away. Keep them with you. Keep them safe. First time here too. Elodie, both. Because we just fucking spoke about this. No, I'm happy to have all of you here. There's a couple of things that we have to discuss that wasn't going to be discussed on the Chill Show, as it will from now on be called. Did you see Bobby Kotick taking a pay cut?
I did, and I also saw the response to it as well by the entitled, like, "Oh, you've dropped down to 60K. Oh, well, we want the same. Give us the same, or we don't. It's not. It doesn't mean anything." It's like, really? You think just some random fucking scrub who cleans your toilet thinks that they should get the same amount as the person who basically sits at the top of the company?
Yeah, I mean, look, from a PR perspective, Bobby Kotick taking a pay cut is massive. It's amazing. It's going to give them all of the PR that they need. I already saw the tweets from content creators going, this is good. This is a good move. And I was like, it's not a bad move, but what's good about this move? So they're basically what they're doing is they're saying, we're finally going to treat people like human beings. I don't know if that's should that be celebrated as a thing, you know?
That should just be a given, right? That should just be the normal. But I don't know. I mean, it depends on what kind of era of human beings we're talking about. If they want to treat humans like they were treated in the 1700s, then that's not exactly to be celebrated at all anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, for me, it's sort of like saying we should praise the fucking serial murderer who tweets out, by the way, guys, I'm done murdering people. It's like, well, you don't really get praise, right? Okay, fine, but you're basically now just saying I'm gonna do what everyone else fucking does, right? That's not praising. That's not praiseworthy.
Right.
What Blizzard is doing is they're basically. So there's a couple of things that bother me about the whole what Blizzard is saying. There's so many things that is so ambiguous, and I don't know how to follow it. Raybeard, by the way, thank you for the gifted sub, dude. Really appreciate that. Can we get some love in chat for Raybeard and the gifted subs? By the way, people, you should know this. When someone gifts a fucking sub, we should say thanks. We should say thanks. That is amazing. Really appreciate that. Anonymous, thank you for the $5, dude. Really appreciate that. Thank you. So, there's things that's weird to me in terms of the language, they want to make Blizzard the most inclusive company ever and the most diverse company ever. I'm like, how about you just make Blizzard a good place to work?
Right. That's all the inclusivity you ever need is actually just make people want to be there, not their to fill out some demographic.
Exactly. How about when someone walks into an interview, you don't judge them on the color of their skin, but rather on the quality of their fucking work? I think that's a good place to start, right? Like,
Right.
To me. Now, there's a couple of things that I will actually praise them on, which I do think is actually quite nice. The fact that they're going to spend crazy amounts of fucking money on the development for what's the word? For minority developers, right? So, for example, black developers, can't say Asian developers. Asian developers are not a minority in the development space. But so basically for minority developers, the fact that they're going to spend more money in helping develop that, I think that's good, right? That's what you should do. You should help with development, and you should help get more people who maybe dream of getting into the video game industry, but maybe don't have the money or the opportunities to do so, to actually be able to get into the video game industry. So for that, I actually want to praise them. I think that's a great move. And also, I think that's quite a forward-thinking move, right? I think that's a forward-thinking move. And the reason I think that's a forward-thinking move is similar to what you get in League of Legends, right? In the LEC, every single LEC team spends crazy amounts of money on what they call their... fucking hell, me and names, dude. Their challenger teams or their academy teams, right?
Right.
These are teams that they don't have to spend money on those teams, but they do it because it feeds talent into the main team. So you can sort of work on the talent there. Why would more gaming companies not do this? Why do more gaming companies not spend $200-400 million every, fucking 5 years or something to develop more game developers, to get that talent in? Right? I think that's a good thing. So on that, I actually applaud Blizzard Entertainment. But I did find the whole pay cut thing to just be like, dude, at this point, no one gives a fuck about your pay, right? There's bigger issues here. Plus, like I said in my previous stream, I don't actually care if someone makes $200 million a year. Good for them, as long as they're worth what they're making, right? As long as they deserve it. I think that's fine. What are you looking at out of the corner of your eye?
I'm looking at my missus. I asked her to grab my charger for me because new phone arrived today, but I don't think it arrived with a fucking charging cable.
Oh, crap. What phone is it?
It's A12, I think. I don't know.
I think I have an A12 as well. Samsung.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have an A12 as well. I didn't see the point in going for the fucking S.
No, like I had an S5. I've had it for long enough that the charging cable has started melting at the connector, and it's dripping liquid copper all over the place when it's on charge. So I needed a new phone. But yeah, it seems this one came with the plug, didn't come with the cable.
That's not good.
No.
Okay, well, can you at least let them know that the cable isn't in?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Like we've been having some like hit and miss with deliveries lately. I had to buy a new USB hub as well, a 7-slotter, because I've now got too many cables, and it doesn't work because they also didn't give a charging cable with it, like a power cable. So when it plugs into the laptop, it can't pull enough power to like have all the hubs on.
Yeah.
I was trying it yesterday when like setting up for D&D. I had my mouse and keyboard plugged into it. That was it. And it kept switching one off to put the other one on.
I want to stop you here and just quickly go. Lady Survival just got the Anexian Drake. Guess I have super good mount luck this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, can move some hard in chat for Lady Survival. She is a mount hunter, I suppose, is the best way to put it. Lady Survival, do you still stream? I haven't seen you live in ages. Achieve the goals.
I haven't seen many WoW content creators live in a while.
I just want to see your says. Wait until they achieve the goals and Bobby gets an insane bonus for the good job. True? Wait a second. You guys haven't harassed women in almost 2 years? Fucking hell, that's 50 million right there. Good job.
Oh, but it won't be called a bonus. It'll be called a performance incentive.
Fucking Blizzard, bro. So brave and courageous. Truth. Okay, what's your thoughts on Blizzard removing the Torghast quest lines? I think... Actually, what's your thoughts on that? I'm trying to still formulate exactly how I feel about
removal of the lore tie-ins, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like they're trying to remove all evidence of the failures of 9.0, but it also feels as if they're trying to, in their way, listen to players and give them what they've asked for as a more streamlined experience so that when you pick up the game, you understand what's going on. So...
Razor Doom, by the way, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. So, my thoughts on the Torghast quest lines is twofold. First and foremost, the Torghast quest lines were incredibly tedious and fucking boring, right? Just, it's Blizzard storytelling. What can you expect? Blizzard storytelling, the story is good. The way they tell the story is mind-numbing.
Yes.
That's basically my thoughts on it. But at the same time, and this is a pretty big but, I hate it because it shows that. So I said this during the Shill show as well. Yeah. It doesn't feel to me like Blizzard respects their own stories or their own game in any way, shape, or form.
Oh no, not at all. They're quite happy to just cut chunks off to suit the people that are yelling autistically at the moment.
Just how the fuck do you remove parts of your story? Just like, all right, screw it, never mind. I mean, it's one thing to remove the story of previous expansions, which they do basically with the advent of every new expansion. It's a whole different thing when you, in a current expansion, just decide to fucking remove a part of the story. Just say, oh, screw it.
Right.
I just won't tell that part of the story anymore because people clearly didn't like it. Yeah, maybe take some advice from that. Maybe take some lessons from that. Why didn't people like it? Well, I don't know. Maybe because you made people plow through one of the most boring fucking... Like, there was nothing challenging. I tell you now, if the Torghast quest lines were actually challenging... Right, so you actually had to pay attention to get those Torghast runs done. People may have actually enjoyed it. The problem was that you were basically going into this, wasting your time, right? That's all it was, just a waste of time, because you could physically not die inside those Torghast runs. Like, it was physically impossible to die. You didn't even get cool powers, right? So what was the point of that?
I had to keep my shaman at 145 eye level and do the one aimed at like 175, 180 to actually get a challenge. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. It just feels... But then again, this seems to be what Blizzard does. You know, this seems to me...
Yeah.
This is the Blizzard that we have now, you know? Did I hear it right? They aren't going to do the renown skip for alts now.
Wait, what?
What?
Where did you read that? Because if they're removing one of the promises for 9.1.5 this late into like the release, I mean, they fucked up.
Can you imagine how many people are going to be fucking livid about that? I'm literally scanning through it now, scanning through MMO Champion now to see if there's anything on this. We're fucking raging if they do that. But I think they can. Actually, here's something that I really want to talk about. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Let me just quickly do screen share. Just do the screen share. Alpaca, sorry, you're not on the screen right now.
That's cool.
But quickly, just wanted to show you guys this. Have any of you seen this? The Shadowlands and Insight look at the character creation UI redesign. Did you see this?
I haven't seen this one. I've seen a load of the leak stuff, but not the actual confirmed shit.
All right, so this is actually this is actually not so much. We'll talk about the story skip in a minute, right? Because I do want to get to that. I do want to cover that. This is not a leak, right? And this is not actually something that they're going to do. This is something they've already done, right? It's when they redesigned the character creation UI, right? They changed everything so it looked far more modern. They've come out with this blue post, that sort of explains their reasoning for doing these things. Where is this for everything in World of Warcraft?
Right. Like, if you're going to go out of your way to explain a random decision you've made, why is this the one? Like, why is this the one that gets the fucking communication?
I mean, I'm not saying that. So maybe this is like the first one they're doing and maybe they're working on others. But I need to see far more of this. Actual explanations for reasons and actions taken within World of Warcraft. Because I think this is incredible. If you listen to some of their arguments around why they decided to do certain things certain ways, right? So, for example, explaining the rotation or the location of every single class in the sort of class bar, right? They say here, we designed the new character creation screen to help new players avoid what's known as analysis paralysis. We cut down a lot of text and relied on visuals and sound to explain the races and classes. We'd rather show you a mage casting a fireball than describe it to you. Most new players will already be familiar with these fantasy archetypes through pop culture. It's commonly understood that a warrior wields a sword, wears relatively heavy armor, and fights in melee range. We sorted the classes in an order that would help new players quickly identify a class they understand. The first three are the strongest, most understood archetypes. The next three are slightly less strong. For example, someone who's never played a video game might not know what a priest does. After that are hybrid classes, which are more complex. It's important to note that this design choice wasn't about how hard each class is to play, but rather how easy it is to understand the concepts behind what the class is and what they do without the need for additional explanation. The reason this is amazing... Sorry, you wanted to say something?
I was just going to say, if that's their entire reasoning, they fucked up on the placement of monk. Like, monk is definitely not a hard concept to fucking understand. It's been in every game since fucking Baldur's Gate 2.
True. But, you know, they don't play games, so you can't really knock them for that. At the end of the day, the reason this is so cool is, can you imagine if Blizzard did this for Torghast, right? Gave us an entire blue post explaining why they did Torghast the way that they did. Right? Even if you do not agree with how Torghast ended up, you still now have the knowledge of why they decided to do the things the way that they did. And that helps a lot, by the way.
Any kind of open communication on these stupid decisions is great for everyone involved. So it's, I don't know why they're not doing it for everything.
It reminds me...
haven't been since the beginning.
This reminds me of the old water, water coolers, the Dave water coolers.
Yeah.
Like, those were also insanely cool. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember the Dave water coolers, but it was similar to this, right? Where they would dive into certain choices they were making. And the Grey actually made a good point there, right? It opens up more dialogue. That's exactly what it does, right? Because even if I don't agree with an individual choice that they made, I can now see at least the logic behind the choice that they made. Right? And that also allows for more useful feedback. Because now I see their logic, I can respond and say, oh, by your logic, here's the flaws, right? So I get your logic, but here's where you made mistakes. Because here's how it comes across to us, the player base.
Right.
Yeah? I want to see more of this. I need to see this sort of blue post for everything, every decision that they make, but it's too late. This should have been in alpha already. Yeah,
definitely. Like, this should have been how they started the original fucking concept, and kept it going this entire time. But I mean, this kind of ties into something else that kind of happened during the week as well, which did make me kind of question what is actually going to happen with Blizzard. Because, like, I'm sure you saw Asmongold's tweet about his mum passing away and how it's tough, and Ibarra responded saying that like the entirety of Blizzard is with him, and we know not the entirety of Blizzard fucking likes him. So that was either a PR move or an actual change in mentality going on, where the player base is actually important enough to engage with. And this is something that you would do out of human decency, right? Someone's parent dies, you offer your sympathies. That's just human fucking decency. But now this actually shows that the devs are seeing certain players, at least, as human enough to be humanly decent too. So that is actually a good change on the face of it.
But I do think, in terms of Mike Ybarra, and I do need to explain this, Mike Ybarra truly comes across, regardless of the whole boosting controversy, right? Which, to be fair, and this is actually something that I have to credit Nagura for. I was watching Nagura's video on her feelings about Mike Ybarra's boosting and boosting in general. She actually made a very good point. Mike Ybarra is acting 100% within the rules of World of Warcraft. The rules of World of Warcraft suggest that you are allowed to boost, and therefore him boosting is not outside of the rules of the game. Doesn't matter how your individual feelings about boosting in World of Warcraft is, he's not breaking the rules, right? And so you can't really say much about that, which is fair, right? It's completely fair. But there's one thing that I would say for Mike Ybarra, and that is that, and I wonder what chat thinks of this. Chat, listen to the sentence and tell me if you guys agree. Mike Ybarra feels more like one of the community than any of the other developers that Blizzard have right now.
Oh, 100%. He is engaging with the community, and it's what we were saying last week about the difference between Yoshi and a load of Blizzard employees.
Exactly. But when it comes to Mike Ybarra, I see him interacting with the player base. I see him talking about things that the player base talks about consistently. Tim, it is too early to tell, but we are talking about right now, right? Don't worry about it. If he changes his ways a year from now, I'll be shitting on him a year from now. You don't have to worry. I'm basically talking about what we've seen from him so far. You know, he streams. He hangs out with the community during his streams. He's very active on Twitter. He constantly partakes in conversations that the community themselves are partaking in. He started up a Discord server for the community to hang out in and to find groups for, you know, different Blizzard games. So he clearly seems to understand what the community wants because he plays with the community, right? He's part of that community in that way. So I like that. But I think this is where... this is why Ybarra said it, and that's why I actually don't think that it was a PR move. I don't think it's a PR move at all. Not from Mike Ybarra. I think Mike Ybarra truly means that. I don't think Mike Ybarra hates Asmongold.
Right, exactly.
I think he really likes him. I think he understands that Asmongold, as butthurt as the other WoW developers will be about Asmongold, the truth is Asmongold have done more for World of Warcraft than literally any of those developers.
Oh, definitely. He has been giving them free advertising for the best part of like 10 years.
Exactly. So. Right? So him saying thank you, I think that came from the heart. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that's gonna do it just for the PR of it all. But then at the same time, you never know, right? These people can't be fucking trusted with anything, and that is the truth. People can't be trusted.
Right.
It's quickly want to see here. So, ability to skip 9.0 Covenant campaigns removed from patch 9.15. Soulbind skip available instead.
Bruh.
I'm highlighting it here. Hold up, chat. We'll go through this quickly. One of the promised features of patch 9.15 was the possibility of skipping the 9.0 Covenant campaign storyline. However, this feature was never testable on the PTR, and it has been discovered that the Covenant storyline skip is no longer being added on patch arriving next Tuesday. Okay, why, Blizzard? Why? Let's see. Disclaimer. You're still able to skip chapters 1 and 2 of 9.0 to start Korthia and 9.1 content. Not being able to skip the full 9.0 Covenant campaign in patch 9.15 only locks your characters out of the following: the campaign transmog sets that are received after completing certain chapters, the ability to progress past chapter 3 of the 9.1 Covenant storyline. All right, so Jadeo, thank you very much for Prime Sub, dude. Really appreciate that. So basically, you are being locked out of just about everything. You can't actually complete the chapters. Instead of the Covenant storyline skip, there is now a Soulbind skip, which means that for as long as you have completed the Covenant storyline for that Covenant at least once on your account, you will be able to obtain all 3 available Soulbinds for that Covenant. To enable to Soulbind... I mean... Yeah. What did you want to say?
Just bruh. Like, what the fuck?
Jadeo, by the way, thank you for the Prime Sub. Did I say thank you to Jadeo? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Still, thank you.
Saying it again is always a good thing.
Yeah, really appreciate that, bro. Okay, to enable the Soulbind skip, you must join a new Covenant and either complete or choose to skip Chapter 1 of the 9.0 Covenant campaign. Once you finish the short quest line that binds you to the first Soulbind, the other 2 Soulbinds will appear by the Forge of Bonds with their respective binding quests. These quests will also grant the respective mission table follower and Soulbinding achievement. To enable the Soulbind skip, you must log in at least once on a character that has previously completed that Covenant's 9.0 storyline. You see, this is what I don't get. Why does it feel... Yeah, Blizzard does this so often. Like, why are you holding on to your fucking Covenant story campaign? Can someone explain to me, why does Blizzard feel the need to hold on to the Covenant campaign? The Covenant campaign is shit.
Yeah, it definitely is, but they need you to engage with it. They require you to engage with it because you're testing their new faction system. So if you don't engage with it, then they won't be able to say, oh, hey, look, this new faction system works.
I personally, I'm actually with Mary here. I think it's to ensure longevity. I think it's to keep people playing, because I think Blizzard knows full well if they allow people to skip through this entire fucking thing, people will quit the game very quickly.
Fair. Also fair.
Skipping through the Covenant campaign is like 90% of Shadowlands content. Done.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that literally there has been no content in Shadowlands. I don't know. I think my brain has just kind of misplaced this entire last year when it comes to WoW.
Yeah.
Like it's still the end of BFA for me. Still coming into Shadowlands. Shadowlands hasn't started yet.
It doesn't feel like it started yet. You're honest. You're correct. It doesn't feel like it's started yet. It sort of feels like it feels, in terms of the content that we've gotten so far in Shadowlands, it feels like we're basically still building up to 9.1.
Right. Like, this has been the longest pre-patch ever.
Exactly. That's how it feels, at least. You think you do, but you don't. Blizz arrogant fucks. Duaka, very true. This is exactly what it reads as, right? Players, myself included, were ecstatic by the fact that we'd be able to skip the Covenant campaign, right? Now, we're basically being told, no, you can't. You can't skip it. If you do skip it, you won't be able to progress past Chapter 3. So you can skip Chapters 1 and 2 of the 9.0 to start Korthia 9.1 content. Not being able to skip the full 9.0 Covenant campaign in patch 9.1 only locks your characters out of the following: the ability to progress past Chapter 3 of the 9.1 Covenant storyline. I don't understand this.
So what that means is that you can only skip up to like the first and second chapters. If you want to go further, you just have to do the campaign again. There's no further skip on that one.
Yeah.
But if you don't skip out of it, the only thing you miss out on is the like transmog sets and the storyline stuff, which if you've seen it, it doesn't matter anyway.
But
so
what are they going to do with Chapter 4?
Deal.
This is the question, right? What happens with Chapter 4? Because it's possible that they decide...
What's good about Chapter 4?
Yep. It's possible that they decide Chapter 4, Chapter 5, Chapter 6 can't be completed unless you've completed all of the story leading up to it, right? And so eventually you are going to be forced to go back and do all of the shit that you should have been able to do or that you should have been able to skip. It's this sort of flip-flopping that just makes me feel like Blizzard just... It feels like this is sort of development with darts. That's what it feels like. They have a dartboard, and someone is sitting there with a blindfold on and just throwing darts at the board. And then the dart hits the board and it says, oh, we're doing a Covenant skip. And they go, yeah, we'll do a Covenant skip. And then later on, someone's like, nah, I threw the dart again and it said no Covenant skip. So, coin flip? Heads we Covenant skip, tails we don't. Oh, okay, it's tails, we don't Covenant skip. It's like, what's the thinking? How did this work? This is a great place where that blue post would come in handy, right?
Right.
Giving us an actual explanation, because there may be reasons why they decided. It could be a technical reason, right? There could be a technical reason. For some reason, if you skip those stories, the game just would not let you progress, right? It could be. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. It would have been nice if we actually fucking had some information on this. But of course, Blizzard doesn't do information. No. They just make changes. This is ridiculous. Can I ask, how many of you are a little bit pissed off by this? Like, how many of you now, maybe you've heard about this for the first time, but for how many of you is this a little bit of a kick in the teeth?
It's fucking stupid. Like, that's what I'm not mad about it. I kind of expected something like this to happen, but it is what it is. People at Blizzard don't understand their game and what made it good and what currently makes it bad. So they're trying these random fucking fixes all over the place, just changing at will to see if that's the ticket. And it's not going to work.
I see a lot of people angry, but I also see a lot of people just sort of going, don't give a fuck, right? I see a lot of people just going, yeah, I don't care, really. Blizz, so they can show Blizz that juicy engagement numbers to the investors. Blizz designs for investors and not for the players since years. Very true, Dubaka. But that's sort of just something that I think, if I could have 2 minutes of Ian Azikostas' time, I would love to fucking explain to him, right, that engagement can also be achieved through fun game design. If something's fun, people will automatically engage with it more.
But if you're not having fun, then frankly, that's just a skill issue.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm not skilled enough to have fun now.
You're not playing it correctly. That's why you're not enjoying it.
That is sort of true, right? Because I don't raid. I don't do dungeons. Because there's shit. I will say though, and this is actually something that I would love to talk about. It's one of those discussions that we've had a few times with patrons and stuff, but in sort of a different vein. I'm gonna say something now that might cause a bit of a stir within chat. I believe that 20-man and 30-man raiding needs to die, and all raids should be 10-man only.
Yeah, I mean, you know my thoughts on that one, and I'm waiting for the collective, like, what do you mean? It's been 20 and 40 forever.
You see, I think 10-man raids are more intimate, right? I think 10-man raids are far more intimate. I also think 10-man raids present you with quite a unique opportunity to put more responsibility on the individual player. If you look at a lot of the... we spoke about this last night on Discord. If you look at a lot of the kills, like world first kills, in 20-man groups, people will oftentimes sort of sacrifice, right? Just sack a couple of players, like sack 2 or 3 people to soak stupid fucking abilities, but you can sack them, it's fine. You still have more than enough people to actually get the kill with the sack. Yeah? You can't do that in 10 man. If you sack someone in 10 man, you're almost guaranteed to be fucked. Because one person will almost always carry far more weight in a 10 man than what they would carry in a 20 man.
Well, yeah, I mean, naturally, they're carrying 1/10 of it, right? Instead of 120. That's the point. But yeah, it's stupid. It's essentially just promoting zerging the boss down if you go as higher group size, right?
Alex is on fire. You don't really get to do that in 10 mans. I remember doing way back in the day, right? You would do 10 man Firelands or 10 man ICC, right? Way back in the day. One person dies and you're pretty much fucked because there's so many abilities that you need every single person alive in order to get all of the abilities done, in order to optimize all of the damage. For example, on ICC, on the Lich King on Heroic, right? 10 man. If one person died, you'd almost always never have enough DPS to get the Valkyries down. Like, the Valkyries would grab players, and you wouldn't be able to get them down because you have one player down. So one of the players that's being grabbed is off. Then they're done. They're gone, right? So with 10 mans, I just feel like you can, first and foremost, probably produce far more balanced raids, far more intimate raids. Because here's the thing. When you have 19 or 20 people inside a Discord group, you're not going to be friends with all 20 of those people, right? You're not going to really be able to talk and chat and have fun with all 20 of those people. Whereas I feel like with 10 people, I remember back in the day, we used to be a hardcore 25-man guild. Our 10-man runs was just us friends. Like, fuck the 15 other people that we didn't really know that well in the guild. When we did 10-mans, we did it with our friends. That was how it worked for us. And I personally believe that, I don't know, it just feels like 20-man, specifically on Mythic, it feels so fucking large. And just, I feel like raids were more fun when they were 10-man. At least they feel more fun for me.
I don't know. I also find that, I mean, like, the smaller the group, the more important tactics actually become, because you have to focus, you have to do things in the right order, because you've got less room to maneuver, right? You can't just have the numbers to just outpower the mechanics.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, everyone can have their own sort of ideas and opinions on this. But for me, 10-man raiding used to be so much more fun. And it used to be just a hell of a lot better. Also, oftentimes more challenging. In fact, I remember in Firelands, we actually found a ton of bosses far easier on 25-man than what we found them on 10-man.
Right.
So the 10-man was far more sort of pressing. Everyone really had to do their job. But yeah, that's just sort of my opinion on it. Everyone can have their own opinion. But for me personally, I think if you made raiding 10-man only and you optimized it for 10-man only, right? I think people would have a far better time in playing with guilds and also with finding guilds. I think for a lot of people, it could be almost overwhelming to think they need to find a guild with 25, 30 people, right, in that guild. That's an overwhelming thought. Whereas if it's just 10, 15 people in the guild, I think far more fun. Far more engaged. Smaller communities, but more communities. More fun communities. But of course, if we're going to start talking about how to fix World of Warcraft, there is one thing that Blizzard could do that would almost fix it immediately. And that's housing.
I mean, you've seen how housing works in fucking Final Fantasy. So, I mean, do you really think it would work in WoW? Or would it just be Chinese bots that just take up all the housing?
So if you want to have housing done correctly, it has to be done, like the developers have to be very much involved in that process. Yeah. has to be very much involved. So the developers have to see when houses are just being... So, for example, in Final Fantasy, it's illegal to buy a house with the intent of immediately selling said house. Yeah?
Right.
You can't do that. Which is basically, like, all you really need, right? You need the developers to be involved to realize when a house is owned by a bot, and then that house is immediately taken from the bot. And I don't think it would be that hard to actually spot that, to actually see, hey, fucking hell, this house doesn't... But the thing for me with housing is it opens so much more, right? It opens so much more opportunities for the game to actually cater to casual audiences, right? To get the professions involved, to get the old world involved, to allow people to build really cool and unique houses that does something for them, you know?
Yeah.
Self-expression. People live for self-expression. There's a reason why you have people who are goth, yeah? Wears black and black makeup and sort of, you know, the emo stuff. And then you have people that is completely geeked out, you know? Complete geeks with the round glasses and everything. There's a reason why you have that. Human beings are built for self-expression. We've evolved to express ourselves in various different ways with things like clothing, makeup, jewelry, the way we walk, talk. All of that is built for self-expression. Housing is one of the ultimate ways to express yourself. It's why in something like Final Fantasy, it's housing is a meta, right? It's in-game meta,
Right.
where some people just can't get enough of it.
Like, we've spoken about how I would do housing in WoW a while back on one of the podcasts. So I think that idea would still hold up, and it's very similar to exactly what you just said, that you kind of add incentives to go back to do the old world stuff. You have incentives to do the current stuff, and you have that as giving the ability to reskin your housing, right? And to basically make garrisons, but in the way it was intended, in the good way, not the shit half-cut way that we got.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting, but I do also think that it would contribute more to kind of a lack of open world stuff, because everyone would just be in instances running for these like cosmetic items, right? They wouldn't be in the open world doing anything. So it would contribute in an tangential way to an empty world.
This is where Final Fantasy does it so well. Not everyone can own a house, right? It's very limited. It is extremely limited. So, yeah, the vast majority of people don't have a fucking chance in hell of ever getting a house. But also, you could always just make more stuff in the open world for people to do, you know, in order to get those items that you would put in your house. So ultimately, I think there's many ways to skin a cat. You know, there are many ways to skin a cat, and ultimately, I think that you have a game in the year 2021 that still doesn't have housing is absolutely mind-boggling to me.
Right.
It breaks the brain, if you will. I want to talk about something else, which... So how many of the viewers right now, how many of you guys have seen the new updated terms of service for Final Fantasy? Have you seen it, Apocalypse?
Why would I look at the terms of service for Final Fantasy? Come on.
My God, you are such an anti-weeb, such a hater, bro. Why you be hating?
Because it's trash.
Why you be hating, bro?
Bro, I am on board with Furious that you play Final Fantasy VII Original, not the remake, because that's just absolute boots. But Final Fantasy XIV is just awful. It really is.
I can't do with the hate and negativity. I can't deal with that. Fuck that. Can't deal with the hate and negativity. So they've actually done an incredible amount of work in their new terms of service, which I thought was quite telling. There's a couple of things that's really interesting about the terms of service update. And first and foremost, it's the way in which people are allowed to sort of converse with one another. They've effectively spelt out the do's and don'ts, right? So things that you're allowed to do and things that you're not allowed to do when you talk to other players. Things like, for example, they say in one of the examples there, they say you can suggest things to players, but you can't tell them, right? So you can say, hey guys, we've been wiping a lot here. Don't you think it would be better if we tried this? But what you're not allowed to do is say, fuck you guys, we're going to do this, right? Not allowed. Basically, if you read through that entire document, it all boils down to do not interfere with anyone else's way to play the game, right? The way that someone else wants to play the game, it's their right to play the game that way. So, for example, you can't tell a healer to heal, otherwise you're going to kick them from the group. You can ask them if they'd be willing to heal you, but you can't attack them if they fail on something. You can't help them too much. Like they've gone through a lot of things, and the reason I bring this up isn't because I want to give you guys a sort of rundown of all the great things that Final Fantasy is doing, because a lot of these things are not actually accepted by the player base as great. There's a lot of people that's now overtly afraid that they're going to get kicked from groups, even for just saying, "Hey, I just wanted to give you advice, and now I'm kicked from the game." The truth is, which a lot of people missed in their outrage, it makes sense because the average voter is a moron. All of those things is subject to game masters making decisions. There's actual humans making these decisions. And this is what people completely missed. Context matters. They actually say it there. For all of those changes, context will matter. So if they, for example, say, for example, you wrote in chat, "Hey, healer, can you please heal me? I'm dying," right? And the healer goes, "What the fuck? You dare tell me I should be healing?" And he reports you. The game master will read that and go, "Nothing wrong with that. You were basically just saying, hey, I'm fucking dying. Can you help, please?" So nothing wrong with that. People lost their minds. But the biggest change, and this is something that a lot of people, I myself, got very, very, very excited about. And for WoW players, I realize you're going to sort of wonder, what the fuck? How does this happen? How do game companies do this? They have effectively made it illegal. Well, actually, I say effectively. They made it illegal to spam any sort of boosting service in the party finder. You're not allowed to spam that shit. And it actually, I think it actually refers to chat as well. You can't advertise services that help people sort of skip parts of the game. And I read that and I thought to myself, I don't know how to respond. Because in WoW, I'm not used to that. Like, in WoW, these things happen all the time. No one gets banned. No one gets looked at. And the reason they did this, by the way, is so that they're allowed to ban people now. So if you do spam in party chat, they can now ban people. Because previously, it wasn't stated in the TOS that you're not allowed to do that. So they updated the TOS so that they could take action against people that sells boosts inside the party finder. I personally,
I think this is maybe just me being cynical. This may just be me not understanding the rabid culture of Final Fantasy fans. But to ban people for advertising, like, what I assume boosting here to mean is like speed leveling.
No.
Right?
Boosting is to go to a trial and get carried to finish the trial. So finish the raid and stuff like that.
Why is that a problem at all when they will allow you to skip the story anyway that requires you to do these trials?
Well,
you just have to pay for that.
Yeah, but remember, just because you've skipped the story, you've paid to skip the story, you can't actually pay to do the hardcore raids. You don't get the achievements for the hardcore raids if you've skipped the story. Yeah? the only things you get to skip when you pay is you skip the story trials. Because you've skipped the story. All of the other trials you've still not done, right? There's still...
What do you need to do them for, though?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you get out of doing a hardcore trial? I thought, like, the BIS was all from extremes and shit. So why would you want to get carried through, like, hardcore ones? Why would you even bother to pay to get boosted through that when that's not even the content for, like...
No, the boosting we're talking about here is the extreme trials. It's the max level extreme trial boosting, right? That's the thing that's been... That's why it's in the party finder. It's been made illegal to do so. Right? You can't advertise to boost people through content that they should actually be doing themselves. Like the wording, I could probably find the wording if I wanted to, but the wording is pretty much it's all encompassing. So it makes sure that no boosting is allowed, at least not in the party finder. And from what I've been able to gather, there's even whispers that the wording is so ambiguous towards it that it could also just result, even if you boosted someone and you didn't spam in party, it could still result in a problem, right? This is specifically when we're talking about boosting for guild, right? So not like you're boosting your friend through a thing. You're boosting for guild, gold in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, but now I'm confused again. Like, if the entire point to get those boosts is for achievements, mounts, and glams, why is that considered something that you should do? Why is that considered a necessity? Aren't achievements, mounts, and glamours just cosmetic and optional?
Yeah, but they take those things serious because there's people that actually, care about those things. So they take them seriously.
Why is that considered, like, you should by devs and then be considered that boosting enough to get, like, banned for? Why is that a required part of the game?
What do you mean? There's no required part of the game.
Well, you said that they want to ban this boosting so that you don't skip parts of the game that you should be doing, right?
No. Parts of the game that if you want the thing. So say, for example, you decide you do want the... This is difficult to explain to someone that doesn't play Final Fantasy. But okay, let's start at the beginning. In Final Fantasy, there's nothing that you must do, right? The game doesn't force you into anything. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But there's obviously things that you can achieve when you do the things that you want to do, right? Now, let's imagine that you want to get the achievement for the newest extreme trial.
Right.
If you want that achievement, you can't advertise, or if you want to make guild, you can't advertise and say you're selling that run for that achievement. Because players have to do that achievement themselves. You have to do it yourself. You want the achievement, you have to go do it. It doesn't mean that boosting is gone. Just FYI, I need to clarify something here. There is still boosting in the game, and boosting have not been made completely illegal. The language, just according to at least one of the Reddit threads that I saw, the language is ambiguous enough that in certain cases, let's imagine all you did was boost someone, right? So you and your group boosted someone for 1 million gil or whatever.
Right.
There are cases in which the GMs could look at that boost and go, nope, all of you gone. Right? Because the language is a little bit ambiguous around it, which Final Fantasy have come out and said, yes, it's meant to be ambiguous. Not on that point, but they were sort of talking about the language and the whole TOS. It's meant to be ambiguous because, well, when you're applying rules, it's like YouTube rules or Twitch rules. They're almost all ambiguous because they need to be able to apply them sometimes in circumstances that otherwise you wouldn't know about, or wouldn't necessarily come up.
This is just convoluted and is just resulting in just giving GMs free power, right? Because if it's that ambiguous, then you could stretch anything to make it fit. Because, like, I'm trying to read chat as well because I see like Tim and Elodie trying to explain it, and it's confusing me so much more. Like, you can buy but not advertise selling, so what the fuck? So if now it's just gonna turn from like want to sell, run, to want to buy, run, and the same thing's going to happen, and nothing will have changed at fucking all. But even if that was banned as well, even if that was bannable as well, then all you would have is just people advertising that they are doing a run and they're looking for more people, but only accept the people that are willing to tip. That's essentially selling the run without selling the run, just buying a more preferential spot in. This doesn't make sense. This is just giving GMs free reign to just go, I don't like you, fuck off.
No, but that's not what it's doing. I don't know how this is so hard for you to understand, because that's not what they're doing.
Because that is what it's doing. If it's vague enough, then anything can be stretched out. So if they want to, with context mattering, a GM that gets on well with you can be like, oh no, you're not selling, it's fine. You only said it once, you're not advertising, that's not bannable. But then some random cunt comes along and says, I will pay 6 billion fucking gil to get this trial done, then they're banned because they're incentivizing spam for selling. So
No.
fuck?
The ambiguity comes around how you found the thing, right? So say, for example, someone gets very clever in party chat, yeah? And they write a sentence in such a way that it kind of is selling, and it kind of makes it clearer that it's selling, but at no point do they say that they are actually selling. So whenever someone signs up, they go, by the way, this is a selling run. If you can't pay, fuck off. Yeah? The language is ambiguous enough that the GMs can then move in and say, hold the fucking phone. You were still selling. Right? You didn't say that you were selling, but you were selling. Right? You were taking a party space, so you were selling. I'm using a very simple example here, right? It could go much deeper, and it was actually meant for more deeper. But the way their TOS is now set up, and this is what most people in chat are saying as well, the onus is now on the one that wants to buy a boost rather on the people that want to sell a boost. So if you want to buy a boost, you can absolutely go and trade and say, hey guys, is anyone willing to boost me? Yeah. And then if there's boosting guilds that's looking at chat, they can whisper you and say, yeah, we'll boost you, no problem. Yeah. But the boosting guilds can no longer spam. Because remember, those guys run fucking scripts that basically means that they're spamming every 10 seconds the exact same fucking message. Want to get boost, want to get boost, want to get boost, want to get boost, million guild, million guild.
I understand. So ban scripts. Easy.
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's not just about that, because you could also have a guy just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. It will result in exactly the same thing. They've moved it to the buyer. So you can buy a boost, you can advertise or say that you want a boost, but the boosters can't advertise and say that they are boosting.
Yeah, but then they can't respond, because then they're advertising to others in a general way that they will accept the people that are buying boosts.
The language makes it clear that in public spaces, you can't advertise in public spaces. So anything that can be read by everyone can't be advertised in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think this is gonna, I don't know, this isn't gonna work like they intended at all. And it just seems dumb and convoluted as fuck to me. Like,
if you want to understand it, like the conversation that I wanted to have was a principled one, not actually a fucking wording legal one.
No, but that is the principle of it, right? It's the reason why they made it so vague is so that they could operate outside these rigid boundaries, right? And I understand that. I understand that concept so fucking well. It doesn't, like, that isn't something I needed explained.
Our rules on Discord are incredibly vague, so that if someone breaks the rules that isn't actually stated in the rules, but it's near enough to one of the rules, we can ban them from Discord.
Exactly. I understand that completely. But if they want to ban spamming, then ban spamming for everything, not just for run selling, right? If it's the spam that's the problem, ban the spam. If it's the selling that's the problem, ban the selling. If it's the like buying boosting or boosting in general that's the problem, then ban the boosting. What they're doing is they're targeting one thing to take down something else, and that doesn't make sense to me.
So there's a reason why. First and foremost, spamming is not automatically a bad thing, even though spamming is technically also in this TOS. removed. You can't spam shit. Like, you can't write the same thing over and over and over and over and again for everyone else to fucking read. Yeah? That is technically now also made illegal. So they have sort of cracked down on spamming as well. I don't remember which channels. There were certain channels that they made it clear. Maybe someone in chat remembers which channels they actually made it illegal in to spam to your art content. But also remember, you don't want to fully remove boosting. This is where we get to sort of the ambiguity of boosting in itself. In a world, which is an online world where people are going to play together, right? And people are going to have fun together, boosting is going to naturally occur. And when it's a natural part of the economy and it's a natural part of human interaction, we engage each other for services all the time. For example, in the real world, you can boost through sex. You're not good enough to find a girl, you can pay someone to make sex with you, right? So you can't boost through sex in the real world. It's the natural sort of service industry that we have as a population, as a society. This is ultimately what it boils down to for them as well. They're making it harder for pure professional boosting guilds to find boosts, right? And also for boosters to find boostees, right? Or for boostees to find boosters. So they're making it a little bit harder for that to happen. But they don't want to completely outlaw it because it's still part of what game design is all about, what being in a society is all about. But you do want to make it harder so that it's not rampant, so that it's not absolutely everywhere, if that makes sense.
I get the idea to try and stop boosting because I don't agree with boosting in general, but I think the way they're targeting it is very kind of side-brained. They haven't like just looked at it and gone, well, this is what we want to remove, so we'll remove this. They've kind of come at it at a weird angle to me, and it doesn't make sense why they did that if it's not just to give GMs just more blanket power.
All right, so anticipate. How many people in chat think that boosting isn't a bad thing? I'd love to hear what chat has to say. Even though chat seems to have died.
They're trying to get over how dumb I am when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV boosting. But I think a lot of people don't see the fundamental flaw in boosting in general because it doesn't touch them, so it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. All right. So in order to understand... Visit, how you doing, by the way? Thank you for the first time chat. Really appreciate it. I don't know if a guild was boosted into the top 100. Not sure. So, it's a very difficult thing to understand, right? Because what you're talking about is a principled issue, right? So it's not that it's bad on the surface. It's that it's bad when you start digging into it. When you start really paying attention to it. So the way I would describe it is, are we in agreement that everything in our world has value? Like, everything has a value. It can be cents, or it can be dollars, or it can be thousands or millions of dollars, but everything has a value. Yeah? That value is almost always derived from time, right? How much time you put into something will be the value that that thing has for you, or how much time that thing is going to save will determine the value that it has for you. Let's be real. The value of something is never dictated by the price of something. That's why I didn't say price, but value. Now, let's look at something like Mythic Sylvanas. Even in a video game, Mythic Sylvanas has actual value. Real $ value. It might not make sense immediately, but think about how long it takes for people to clear Mythic Sylvanas. How long would an ordinary guild, right? Not exquisite, ordinary guild that raids 3 days a week, how long would it take them to kill Mythic Sylvanas? Let's imagine we count all of the 3-hour nights that they spend together, and we realize it took them 20 hours, right? And being very sort of generous here, but let's say 20 hours, yeah? Now, let's imagine that the average salary in the group, the normal guild that does that, let's imagine the average salary works out to about, let's say $20 an hour, yeah? This is a government employee fucking guild, yeah?
Right.
They make $20 an hour. That comes out to $400. Is it $400? Yeah, $400. Yeah, $400. That means that's the value of Mythic Sylvanas. It's $400. That's your value. That's the value that you put on a Sylvanas skill. Now, for some people, lawyers, maybe Mythic Sylvanas is actually worth $4,000 or $5,000 because their hours are worth more. But let's say $400 is the average value of a Mythic Sylvanas skill. Now you have someone, right, that pays a boost, right? They buy a boost from a guild that manages to smash Mythic Sylvanas in under 2 hours.
Right.
Have the value of Sylvanas gone up or gone down in this transaction?
I mean, it depends. If the Mythic Guild are going to give their expertise to the public, right? They're the one to smash it in 2 hours, then the value goes down because then someone can do it 10 times in the same time it takes the other to do it once.
The value has gone down. It's ultimately, like, it doesn't really, like, there's nuanced approaches that you could go into, but the basic fundamental fact is that the value of Mythic Sylvanas have now been cut by X percentage points, and we could probably find someone to run that math for us. It devalues your game. That's why boosting is bad. It devalues everything that you do in the game. Considering that everything that you do in a video game is linked to your time, right? To your physical time that you're spending in the game, everything has a value. And when people can simply pay to skip parts of the game that they find tedious or don't want to do, it devalues the game in its entirety, which eventually means that some people stop doing it because people start asking themselves, well, what's the fucking point, right? What's the point of doing this? Why would I keep wasting my time here if all I need to do is spend $40 and I'll get it, right?
But then the argument could be made that Final Fantasy, like Squeenix and Blizzard, are doing that themselves with the paid boost, right? The level boost, the story skip. Like that is what it is. I don't want to do this. It is boring as fuck. I could just skip it normally and still spend 40 hours running 2 cinematics that I'm gonna skip. Or I could spend like $30, $40 and just skip it. Oh, done.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
of course. I'm not in favor of the fact that there's a story skip in Final Fantasy. Not at all. But Visit, I do want to say, though, on your point, you're right. If they ban boosting, World First will change. But there's a knock-on effect, which is what most people seem to forget. The reason the game is as expensive as it is now is because of boosting. More boosting means there's more money in the market, means prices go up. Means more boosting, more money in the market, means prices go up.
Yeah.
Means more boosting, more money in the market, means prices go up. Eventually, ordinary raiders that don't have time to boost 12 hours a day can't even raid anymore because they can physically not afford the mats. They can't afford the shit that they need to buy in order to actually get the raids done. It's a knock-on effect. The game would be far more affordable if you didn't have that. And I would like to say, back in the days of Wrath and Cataclysm, raiding wasn't that expensive. We didn't have to spend thousands upon thousands of gold doing our raids. And we still needed pots every night. We still needed flasks every night, right? We still needed food every night to raid. But most of the time, those things were really only expensive in the beginning. They dropped in price. They plummeted in price so fucking quickly. But then you have people like Blizzard who now make repairing a massive charge. I was repairing the other day, and it was like 2,000 or something gold to repair my gear, and I was like, what the 2,000 gold just to repair my fucking gear? Are you serious? Like, the gold
Testing
sinks.
those death mechanics too much, dude.
True, but hey. Someone has to do it. At the end of the day, I feel like boosting is never healthy for a game. I don't think, even if we argued, that there's nothing wrong with boosting. We have to ask ourselves, does boosting actually add anything to the game? Does it actually add something does it add value to the game? GTA, thank you much for the follow. Kinara, thank you much for the follow. Really appreciate that.
The only thing it adds is a way for plebs to feel like they can actually play the game.
Yeah, but that's not value, right? It doesn't add value to the game. It doesn't make the game better.
It does add value to the game for developers, and therefore for you, because if they're not developing, then you don't get the game either. But it's earning them more money because plebs feel like it's actually worth the sub, that they have all the same achievements as somebody that worked their fucking ass off for.
Yeah. We're not talking about the tokens now. Remove the tokens, because basically the tokens is the equivalent of Blizzard saying, it's the equivalent of a mayor saying, hey, we can't get drug use and the drug market under control in our city, so I'm just going to start selling all the drugs. Right? That's the equivalent. That's what Blizzard have done. They said, well, we can't deal with the boosting, so we'll just get in on the fucking racket. Right? we'll just start making a couple of pounds on the side here. Right? So let's remove the token, because the token is something that sort of muddies the water. We're talking in a pure world. So a pure World of Warcraft with no cash shop, no real money incentives, nothing. Imagine a world where World of Warcraft is the only game and there's no real money. There's no way to make real money in World of Warcraft. Yeah? It's just a game. Does boosting add anything to the game? Does it add something to the game? Does it make the game better? Even if we argue, and remember, we're arguing here that boosting doesn't make the game worse. So we're saying it doesn't make the game worse. The question is, does it make the game better? And the answer to that is, as you just said, Apocalypse, no. Does it make the game better? So then the question needs to be, why is it allowed? Because it's not actually adding anything to the game. I can make an argument that it's actually removing stuff from the game, but I can't make the same argument for it adding something to the game. And that's what it boils down to. When you have something that is a net loss in your game, for allowing it, your game makes a net loss. Not monetary, but in terms of the game's value, then maybe that thing shouldn't be in your game, you know? Maybe you shouldn't allow that thing in your game.
Yeah, but if Blizzard took that advice, then half of their systems would have never made it off the docket. Like, that would have been good for us because they were shit systems, but like, it would have meant that the game didn't exist because it wouldn't have made it out of the fucking like design room. True.
I just want to say that Andy had a good point there, and Yes has a good point as well. The main thing for me is, when I listen to these people that make arguments saying, well, you know, I don't have time to raid, or I don't have time to play the game, or I don't like raiding, but I do like the achievements, I think to myself, well, then that actually means that the game is bad. It means that the game is badly designed. Because if you can't tell me, here's what fucking pisses me off about the argument, well, I don't have time to raid. Well, why are you playing games then? If your life is so fucking full that you don't have time to play games, then why are you playing games? Get to work, motherfucker. You go spend time with your kids. What the fuck are you doing? Your child is crying next to you, screaming their fucking head off, and you're sitting there boosting because you don't have time to fucking play the game? What are you talking about? Like, the whole raiding is the game. Right? It is the game. It's raiding. If you don't have time to fucking raid, then don't play the game. Like, you can't say, yeah, I like the achievement. Get the fuck off here. Go print the achievement if you need it. Put it on your wall. Like, just say, oh yeah, that's the achievement I got. I'm so proud, right? You don't need to play the game. If you're telling me all you need is the fucking achievement, then that means the game is badly designed. And that means that the raids aren't fun. People aren't having fun doing the raids. They'd rather skip it just for the shit at the end. That's not good, right? Taj Allison, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. So, either way you cut it, boosting is just, it takes away from the game. And it covers up the fact that the game is bad. It covers up the fact that there are bad things in World of Warcraft that is badly designed, isn't fun for people, and you should know that there's something wrong with your game when people would rather have someone else help them to not have to play it, right, than play it themselves.
Dude, if you want to see the worst case of boosting ever in any fucking game, play Warhammer Online. Like, genuinely. The entire point of, like, end game in that game is, as you know, the PvP, right? And if you don't get your PvP levels, you can't wear the PvP gear, so you get dicked on if you go do PvP. And people would still power level, like, their experience level to maximum, and then they'd go into maximum level dungeons, maximum level arenas, and just get shit on and complain about it, even though they paid to do it themselves.
Berserker Guts makes a very good point here that I want to touch on. You're right. Berserker Guts says, no man, don't agree on that. If I have 2 hours to play, it should be enough to do the things I like. I don't know how anything I said goes against what you just said, but okay, let's say I did say something that doesn't say that. It's one of the things. So I've been really thinking to myself. I've been really wondering, why did Final Fantasy, the developers, decide to do trials? You know, these single boss instances, no trash, no nothing. You go in, and it's just one boss, right? It's one boss, and that's it. And the more I think about it, the more I'm almost convinced it's exactly for that person who only have maybe 2.5 hours. Yeah, they don't have time to spend in a raid that has fuck tons of bosses, crap tons of trash, right, that they have to waddle through in order to actually get to the bosses that they want to fight. They have only 2 hours, and so they go in, they get to progress on that boss for the 2 hours that they're in there, and hopefully get it down. And if they don't, they can try another day of the week, right? That's it. It seems to me that and I know Final Fantasy have raids where there are trash and there are multiple bosses. I believe, I'm not sure if these are called the Alliance raids or whatever, but I know there's these raids that actually take existing bosses that already exist in the game, puts them all into a single big raid with changed up abilities and stuff, so the bosses are actually very different. But then you go in there and you do those, whatever those things are called. I don't know what they're called, right? Ultimate content. There you go. GTA, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. So they do things like that as well, which then caters to the person that actually likes the big open raids, right? The raid where you have trash and you get to immerse yourself because you're marching on this massive fucking, cathedral, and you have to take down the bosses and their generals and their minions. Right, so it caters to that guy that maybe has 6 hours a night to play. He doesn't just have 2 hours a night to play. But that's the point, right, Berserker? That's the point. You want to design a game that encompasses as much for as large a group of players as possible. So you want to have single boss raids, where it's just a boss, no trash, yeah? And it's on various difficulties, so people of various skill levels can take down what they feel they're good enough to take down. And then you want the big open raids that allow people to spend fucking hours upon hours doing them, right? You want all of those content. The problem with World of Warcraft is you don't get all of that content.
Right.
In WoW, your choice is either going to brain dead mode right? Where half the other players are brain dead too, and you wipe on something that you shouldn't wipe on because half your players are AFK, right? Or you do normal, which is basically just a leveled up version of the brain dead mode, and you're not actually sure if most of your players are not brain dead. You can do heroic, right? Or you can do mythic, which is like harder and hard for a reason. Or go do dungeons. That's your choices. Same content. Those are the options. Isn't something wrong with that? Isn't there something wrong with that?
Very wrong. Like, I've had a problem with the raid design for a while anyway. They focus too much on elongating that time requirement in there anyway, as if that's some sort of metric. Like, oh, they spent 18 hours this week in Sanctum.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's just because you fucked up the boss and it's just broken. Like, what do you mean? More content should be designed to appeal to more people, and that's the problem, right? Don't remove mythic raids that take 8 hours because some people don't have that time, but at least give something to replace it for those that can't do it, right?
Exactly. Have your Castle Nathria, right? But then also have 5 or 6 smaller raids that is only 1, maybe 2 bosses at most with no trash, which is main only for those players that like that. Jenna, thank you for the primes. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I quickly want to see here. Okay, so there's something that I wanted to say. Andy made a very good point here. And I've actually had this conversation multiple times. I am so pissed off. And I'm trying to think, how do I explain this perfectly? Why do 0.5 patches effectively add fuck all to the game?
Because they're
yeah
mechanics patches, right? They're not content patches.
Yeah, but they should be patches that add small raids, like 1 boss raids and 2 boss raids. They should be patches that add casual content. It should be patches. It should be patches that give stuff for casual people to do. The 0.1 patches should be the hardcore stuff, right? The people that the crazy good fucking people want to do. Why is it that Blizzard insists on trying to shoehorn everything into a 6-month patch, right? And for 6 months, people basically, at least if you're a casual player in World of Warcraft, you get forgotten about literally after the launch of the game. Like the second the new expansion launches, you're basically on borrowed time, you know? you're about to run out quick, is the point. Yes, and the ADH Santa, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that to both of you. Thank you. I would love to see Blizzard do more with their 0.5 patches, making those patches the sort of small story patches, you know, the outer world stuff, the casual content, casual as fuck content, and then have your 0.1 patches for the hardcore people who now get to smash their heads for a couple of weeks, you know. CDJ, thank you so much for the 3 community subs. Really appreciate it. Give me some love and chat for CDJ and the 3 community subs. Thank you. Another Scamas train have just been started, and I'm pretty sure if you guys can get it to level 5, you'll unlock all of the doggo emotes in the stream. I think it's doggo.
Yes, it's the hype emotes of like cats and dogs.
Is it cats and dogs? All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Get the Scamas train to level 5 and you get some cats and dogs. Lalandra, I would love to have that attention to casual content. Me too. I can't think of a single person that would go, wait, casual content? Go fuck yourself. It would be nice if casual players could get excited because they know that their patch is coming up, you know? Maybe there's more pets that's going to be added. Maybe there's like pet dungeons that's going to be added. I still to this day do not understand why Blizzard removed pet dungeons. I get that it wasn't the crazy fucking success story that they were hoping for, right? I get that Ian thought to himself, pet dungeons, it's going to kill raiding. I get that. And I get that it didn't quite do that. Realistically, for those of you that don't realize I'm being sarcastic, when they fucking thought up, right, pet dungeons, they probably knew that this was going to be a very small portion of the community that actually partakes in that. So what? That still leaves a portion of the community that partakes in that. Why don't you allow them to do that?
Exactly, right? Like, it didn't appeal to the broadest of audiences, but it appealed to some of your audience and at least kept them involved. So that's kind of what you should keep going with. But then, I mean, you're guilty of this as well, to be fair, with your content that you put out. If it doesn't reach the broadest of audiences, you just axe that shit and cut it out completely. Yeah. So you are just as bad as Blizzard for removing the content that only appeals to a portion of your community.
Yeah, but in my case, I'm literally one guy and I have one editor that's trying to push out content.
True.
I would love to make far more content. In fact, I'm still writing scripts for the Skeptic Orc, even though I know there is no chance of me and Alex being able to make those videos, right? Because we don't have the time for it. I could record them, but Alex would never get to the editing part of them. And I could try to edit them, but I would probably take weeks, if not months, to edit a single one of those videos, even if I did them badly, because I only have a couple of hours a day where I'm eating and fucking sleeping the rest of the time, So I would love to have a team of people so that I can bring out basically as much content as possible for as many people as possible. But I don't have that luxury.
Just do what Google does, dude. Get those unpaid interns that you can't call slaves anymore.
In South Africa, unpaid internships are illegal. So you can't actually have unpaid internships.
Just take them from your community. They're not in South Africa, are they?
I could probably try that. But no, at the end of the day, you don't even need that much, right? You could have, say, 5 developers that is consistently only working on pet dungeons. And every 0.5 patch, there's a new pet dungeon. Granted, it's a small group of the community, right? It's not going to be millions upon millions of players that partake in pet dungeons. There's going to be some players that partake in pet dungeons. And that's really all that matters. That's really all that matters. It just feels to me like for Blizzard, they only make content. And it's not even that they make content that appeals to the vast majority of the player base. It's that they make content that only appeals to the smallest group that they can keep happy, that they know that they can keep happy. The rest of the groups are basically left to go fuck themselves.
Right.
Andy says here, okay, a quick hypothetical. Do you think adding an encounter in 0.5 is something on top or just makes the value of a sub match its cost? Because in my eyes, a buy to play plus sub game shouldn't have that little content released in patches as WoW does. So it is, I don't think it's on top. I think it's long over fucking due.
Right.
Right? If I take the amount of money that I pay, and I hear this argument quite often from people who say, no, you pay $15 a month for access to the game. And it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean access? I pay for access to the content, but I also then pay. That makes no sense. Because in a single player game, I'm not asked to pay a sub for access to the game. But there's also no new content in a single player game. Once you've bought the game, that's the fucking game. Right? So I don't have to pay a sub because I've already bought the game. The whole point of a sub is because you're continuously getting new content. Now, we can do the math on this, right? Every 6 months, there's a new 0.1 patch. These are the patches that add actual content to the game. Yeah? $15 a month times by 6, that gives you 90. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you 90. Gives you 90. $90 for 9.1. How many of you think, and this is not even the actual cost of 9.1, 9.1 is actually $120. But let's say that 9.1 did come out 6 months after Shadowlands. Do you think 9.1 is worth $90? Consider the fact that for $90 you can buy a fuck ton of AAA games. Well, actually 2 AAA games, almost.
Bro, for $90, I could have got my entire Steam and Epic library, and I have had more hours in those games than I have ever had in WoW.
I bought, literally just before the stream started, I bought Death Stranding and Detroit Become Human on sale in Steam. Yeah? It was $40, I think. I guarantee you both of those games will have more content than 9.1 for half the price. So the question becomes, what am I paying for? And am I getting what I'm paying for? The answer is no.
Tatiana has the right idea. Doesn't matter about games. Go to a restaurant, go to a buffet, like all you can eat kind of thing, and just buy $90 worth of fucking food. You're going to have way more enjoyment out of that than you will out of the games.
Well, yeah. The truth is, I think, and Tatiana is correct, there's nothing quite like a nice fucking restaurant. But the truth for me is that it feels like Blizzard has taken advantage of its core audience for a very long time, and they just don't seem to give a fuck. They just keep doing it. That's what it feels like to me. Just quickly want to see here, because Monley said, I'm sorry if I'm going off topic. These streams are meant for you guys to take the topics wherever the fuck you want. Never apologize for taking the topics in whatever direction. We read chat because we want to go where chat wants to be. But I logged into 14 today for the first time after the TOS changes, and I, as many people, thought that nothing was going to change, but instead, by banning clear selling all bots, all RTM spammers, all group finder advertisers are 99% gone from the game. I couldn't believe it possible. Yeah, because people are afraid. They don't quite know what they could be banned for, so they're just staying in their lane, you know? I'm sure it's going to pick up again, because that's the nature of human beings. Someone's going to try and find a fucking loophole to give them access to free advertising. But it's good that it's gone. It is nice that it's gone. So I, for one, applaud Yoshi P. And it's wonderful what you can do when you don't have a financial incentive to keep it going. Blizzard will not do that. Why will Blizzard not do that? Because they have an actual financial incentive to ensure that boosting stays alive and well.
Yeah, Blizzard have definitely got in bed with the whole thing, and that's why it's still there in WoW. But I don't know. For me personally, I think it's gonna come back round in a weird, unforeseen way in Final Fantasy XIV. I think that they have come at it in too weird of a direction for it to just be flat working forever. So I think that it's going to have some side effects that people didn't see. Like the first one off the top of my head is it means that all those clubs, right, they're gone. Can't advertise those anymore.
Well, no, because clubs don't actually boost you through anything.
No, but they're selling, right? Because you earn money in there.
Yeah, but it's selling something that it's selling content. So I need to get the wording
but the RP
for you.
is the content.
I need to get the right wording for you, because they do actually make provisions for stuff like that. There are provisions for shit like that.
So boosting you into ERP. That's exactly it.
I quickly just want to say, Visit, I'm going to get to your point in a minute. Just want to say here, so what, no one is doing group content in 14? Machindo, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? So Visit asks, do you think classic servers are good, bad for retail the game? I mean, people working on 10, 14-year-old content who could work on retail. So your first point is quite wrong. The team for classic is a completely different team. It was a team that was hired specifically for classic. So these are not the same people that would be working. If let's put it this way. If there was no Classic, these people would not be working at Blizzard. And therefore, they you know... and I think it's a team that consists of, like... Is it... like 15 people, maybe? It's like a fucking stupidly small team. It's like
it is
really
a very small team.
So they would not make a dent in terms of WoW's content production. You know? So I would, first and foremost, I think it's more... how can I put it? I think it's more damaging in terms of splitting the audience. Absolutely.
I don't know. I think the people that were going to play Classic were the ones that play Classic. The ones that were going to play Retail. I don't think it really split the player base as much as people think, because the ones that didn't want to play Retail weren't playing Retail. But I know a lot of people that weren't playing Retail but came back to play Classic and still do. So I really don't think it split the player base as much as people think it did.
See, but this is where I have to once again bring Final Fantasy into the fold. I don't know if there's private Classic servers or ARR servers for Final Fantasy. I haven't seen any of those. I haven't seen any of them around. I've never heard anyone talk about them. But I also think you'd be stupid to play on one of them, because you can play Final Fantasy ARR in the normal game, right?
Yeah, but it's ARR. It's not the original version, right?
Yeah, but the original version, that's 1.0. That's like, if someone wants to play that, fucking good luck to them, you know?
Yeah, but the same can be said for Classic.
No, but I mean, Classic is at least not... Classic wasn't a complete and utter failure that they had to reset, right? Classic basically got changed over time so much by Blizzard that it lost what it used to be, right? It basically got turned into nothing. That's the problem. If you try to be a Classic player today in Retail WoW, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
Like, you would physically not be able to be a Classic player in World of Warcraft. But on Final Fantasy, you could absolutely do that, right? You could absolutely be an ARR player and it be only ARR, right? You do only ARR stuff. I don't know if Final Fantasy actually offers you the ability to stop leveling. I'm assuming maybe they do. But then again, you could just go minimum item level, no echo, and you get the experience, what it was meant to be when you did it. So that's sort of why I'm saying it splits the player base. Classic should never have been bastardized the way that it is in WoW. Classic should never have become basically an empty shell of what it used to be. Classic should still have been preserved in WoW, if that makes sense.
I think they should have done a much better job of keeping the old content there, but then you can't grow the game and the timeline, right? If you have an ever-shifting story, you can't really do that without affecting the world around you in some way, shape, or form. Look at ARR. They had to completely fucking redo it, and they made a story reason to do so. And you can't now go back into 1.0 Nightmare Land. So it still happens in Final Fantasy, but yeah, going forwards, they did at least keep that content relevant almost and actually worthwhile doing. But Blizzard have definitely made the choice to make the game grow, right? So that was their choice, and narratively they have definitely made it grow and kept the world going.
See, I don't necessarily... So on the Final Fantasy point, I definitely don't agree, right? Because with 1.0, it wasn't that the world would be changing and there would be nothing that they could do. 1.0 was so flawed that they basically had to blow it up, right? They didn't have a choice. Whereas in WoW, if you think about the changes that was made to the vanilla, right? If you think about the classic experience of WoW, oftentimes a lot of those changes were made because Blizzard didn't respect it.
Right.
They basically willy-nilly changed shit without respecting the integrity of their own game, without actually paying attention to what the game is all about without actually building on the game, which is something that Final Fantasy does so well. Every expansion builds on the other. The story flows into the next one, and the story is preserved in the previous one because the story has to build into the next one, right? So it's basically
it's
like
easy to do that when it's all the same story.
Well, it's not really all the same story, but hey, we can agree to disagree on that one. What should have happened with WoW is that Classic should have laid the foundation for, say, all of the story that leads into, say, for example, Wrath, yeah? Should have laid the foundation up until Wrath. With the end of Wrath, Cataclysm should have started a new story, but by preserving the original story of Classic, TBC, and Wrath. So that story is still preserved. It's going to sort of be necessary to understand the story that goes forward. But the new story sort of takes it now in a slightly different direction without fucking stuff up. So Cataclysm, I think, is actually one of the biggest mistakes Blizzard ever made. Because Cataclysm is the biggest mistake Blizzard ever made. Because in Cataclysm, Blizzard fucking blew up the entire Classic planet, right? Changed everything to the new Deathwing world. Suddenly, Classic was lost. Now, TBC doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? If you go from Classic into TBC, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why you're going into TBC now, because you just did a whole bunch of raids about Cataclysm, right? And a whole bunch of dungeons about Cataclysm. So what the fuck am I doing? Why am I going to the demons now, right? And then it also doesn't make sense with Wrath, because you've effectively played stories that was meant to be after Wrath, but now you're doing Wrath, but you've already done stories that were supposed to be after Wrath, right? So none of that makes sense. It basically ruined the integrity of the game, and rather than Blizzard actually respecting their game enough to not ruin that integrity, they just went ahead and they fucking did it. And now you have this weird world in which the game doesn't make a whole lot of sense. None of the old zones matter. None of the old stories matter, right? How many new players actually have a clue what they're doing in the game?
This is very true. And I think, Blizzard missed the beat. They really did. They fucked up, but they were trying to do a story in their way, and they did it first, right? Mm-hmm. So they were going to make mistakes, and you can't really walk back on that one easily. Yeah. Even Blizzard, with them having their pride issue, there was no way they were going to be able to just be like, oh yeah, we fucked up. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, that is true. Someone just makes a good point. Anticipated, first and foremost, thank you much for continuing the gifts up, dude. Really appreciate that. Andy just made a good point there, right? Can we get the timeout removed from TGOT P? Because I don't think they were actually trying to post the link. But so Andy makes a good point there. Cataclysm could have raised new islands, right? It could have literally just raised brand new islands, changed the non-playable world into a new world, if that makes sense. Whereas Cataclysm changed the playable world, the world that was supposed to matter. And now nothing else makes sense. And now you're forced to bring out things. But then it goes into so much more. In Final Fantasy, they actually fucking care about their class design as well. Classes do change, right? Classes do change over time. But fundamentally, they keep the classes as close to the original idea of what those classes were supposed to be. And the classes really only change when you get to max level. So once you hit max level, your class will play differently now. They have a view. They have sort of a goal of what they want classes to play as, and they try to realize that goal without fundamentally redesigning classes every single fucking expansion, right? Every expansion just go, fuck these classes. We're bored with them now. New classes for everyone. And then by the time you get to the 4th or 5th expansion, you can't even do the old content because the old content was designed for a class that no longer exists.
Yeah.
How does that work?
I don't know. I think Blizzard tried to do a single player online game that had a multiplayer function, but do it as an MMO. And that's where they fucked up. If they had just done 10 games, 10 single player games with the multiplayer function, they would have had much more success actually making each expansion an entirely separate game, but not making it an MMO continuing story.
Jimbo, I'm not sure about that. I've spoken to a bunch of healers, specifically in Final Fantasy, who actually tell me they play differently. Everyone keeps telling me I should play this healer or that healer because this is the good healers and those are not really that good. So I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Right? I'm not a healer. I don't play heal. So my job is to DPS. That's what I do. Black Mage for fucking ever. Look, at the end of the day, and just to be clear, and I agree with you, by the way, Apocalypse, but at the end of the day, you're never going to be able to design a game with as many classes and jobs in Final Fantasy or even in WoW where you're not going to have crossover, right? It's just physically impossible that some classes aren't going to feel similar to other classes. I would suck the cock off of any developer that can do that many jobs and classes and make every single one of them feel absolutely unique with no crossover whatsoever, right? It's impossible. You can't do that. But you can make them fun.
Okay, are we talking baked in crossover or player driven crossover?
Baked in crossover.
Okay, Crowfall.
You mean the date game? That couldn't even fucking get the classes fun to begin with?
More popular than WoW at the moment.
That doesn't count, dude. What the fuck? That's like saying, well, he's at least more alive than the roadkill.
Exactly, yeah. It did die because the actual gameplay was bad, but they really did nail class design. Each class is so unique that you actually have to go out of your way to spec into it to make it like any of the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, I've never played Crowfall, right? So how many classes do they have in Crowfall?
10, I think. 12?
10, 12. Still good. Still a good job, right? That they actually have managed to do that. But
and then each one has 3 subspecs as well. So it has the 12, but then you can also choose to not subspec at all.
Yeah.
So total of like 48, I think.
You'll eventually have run into balance issues if people were still playing the game. There would have been balance issues eventually.
Oh, definitely.
In Final Fantasy, the reason I think you can't do that is because you want the game balanced. Yeah? And if you want a game balanced, sadly, you have to give up some... You have to homogenize certain things to get the game to be balanced. It's sad, but it is just how it is. It's... I don't know. I don't think we have the, like... It's possible. There could be a game one day that manages to nail balance as well as unique playstyle. But I think you would struggle.
Definitely. Grohl kind of nailed it, right? It's impossible to have a balanced game if you give people choices.
Exactly. And I must say, I actually prefer the fact that there are no choices in Final Fantasy when it comes to your class or your job. I prefer that. I didn't think I would. In fact, one of my first things that bothered me when I first heard about Final Fantasy and the fact that there's no talents in the game, I thought, no. I don't want to play a game that has no talents. Now I'm incredibly glad that it has no talents. It just, because it makes me, I like it. I like the fact that this is my Black Mage. I'm going to be exactly the same as every other Black Mage. So the only difference between me and another Black Mage in terms of how good we are isn't that I chose a talent that may be underperforming, but rather I played better or I played worse, right?
Definitely the latter with you.
Yeah, obviously. But in terms of let's pretend that I can play good, then I would play, I would play better, I would beat them, and I would know that it was all things being equal. I like that. I even like the fact that their gearing system is quite simplistic. I have to be honest. Gearing in Final Fantasy is not hard. Yeah. But it's fun. It's like actually fun to get a new piece of gear. It actually feels good to get a new piece of gear. Because gear is linear, right? There's these other pieces that you're going to get, and you know what you're working towards. I enjoy that. Yeah, Snobby, how you doing, brother? Jumbo, I appreciate that. I would definitely want to... I want to raid eventually, so I'll eventually learn how to play my class correctly. On my job.
I highly doubt that.
Hey, I'll do it well enough that I can blame the healer for any mistakes that I make.
I mean, you can literally just sit there dribbling into your keyboard and blame the healer for your mistakes. I mean, that's how that works. But I need a quick smoke, a quick break, so I'm gonna be back in a couple of minutes.
All right, go for it, bro. Healers just. No, so Ascension. Someone asked that I talk about Ascension. I don't know what you want me to say about Ascension. I played Ascension for about 2 hours. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. I had a good amount of fun in it. But it was also a mess. You know? It was also a bit of a mess. What I did like is the freedom. The freedom was absolutely incredible. The fact that you could do so very many things in the game. Love that. And if only WoW went that way, it would have been probably a better choice versus where WoW is now, which is most of your choices are completely and utterly nonsensical. Like, the choice really doesn't matter. It's a choice simply to be a choice. I love how World of Warcraft players defame talents. I love it when people playing WoW defame talents, going, no, don't touch my talents. And it's like, okay, when's the last time you touched your talents? If you don't want me to remove the talents, okay, no problem. But you don't touch your talents fucking either? It's set and forget. Like 90% of all talents is set and forget. You pick the talents that you're going to be playing with, and those are your fucking talents. This is very fun and engaging gameplay. I'd say if it's more focused on having a shit ton of skills, and how good you are at the class isn't dictated by some overpowered talent build, but your own skill. True, Manley. I'll be able to talk a lot about design choices of Ascension and Conquest of Azeroth if you want on another day on Twitch. And yeah, I would love to talk about that. We'll do it. We can do it on Tuesday. If you're not at work, or if you're on stream. Zenfati, that's my problem. I'm not one of those people, like, when I say that I miss the old talent system for WoW, I'm talking about the layout of it. So not even layout is the right word. I'm trying to think of the right English word. Nika Spider, how you doing? I'm talking about the concept, right? I like the idea that I could be a little affliction, a little demo, right? And a little destruction if I fucking wanted to be. Yeah? I liked that idea. I'm not saying it's perfect. There were many things wrong with that talent tree, and you are correct. For a lot of it, it was basically just, these are the things that you pick, and that's it, right? End of discussion. But it was a good idea, and it's better than the idea that we have now, where you have rows of 3 talents. Basically, most of those, only one really has any reason to be picked ever. The others don't really exist, and they never... Whenever I say that, there's people that go, oh, but in PvP... Yeah, then fucking move that to the PvP talent tree. The PvP talent tree is even worse, right? Because it basically gives you a choice of 3 talents, and that's it. Or 2 talents, whatever the fuck, how many. At the end of the day, if you're going to have talents, those talents have to be meaningful choices. You can't have a choice that only masquerades as a choice, which is what Blizzard's talent system does at the moment. It masquerades as choice. It's not actually choice. It's just, it pertains to be choice, right? When I come to you and I say, okay, by the way, option number A gives you a pepperoni pizza. Option number B gives you dough cooked in an oven with tomato sauce, pepperoni, and cheese. Is that a choice? Like, did I just offer you a fucking meaningful choice? I basically, which pepperoni pizza do you want? Right?
Neither. Pepperoni is nasty.
Fuck off. Pepperoni. Dude. Dude. At the end of the day, I didn't give you a choice. I basically just said, here's your choice, right? It's a choice only because you can choose pepperoni pizza A or pepperoni pizza B, but at the end of the day, you're still getting pepperoni pizza. That's the problem with World of Warcraft Talents. Here's 3 options. By the way, there's only really one option. The other options don't actually really do anything. You shouldn't actually take them. They're also completely useless. But there are 3, right? Actually, a better example of this would be there's 3 roads in front of you. 2 of them is completely closed the fuck off. But there are 3 roads, right? 2 of them is completely closed off. You can't actually go that way. But there's technically 3, right? Technically, there is 3 roads. That's the problem.
See, this is one of the rare times that Andy agrees with me, so I know I'm right. Pepperoni is just disgusting. It's oil, it's grease, it's just nasty. Better pepperoni is like a chorizo. Like, that's what you want if you want pepperoni.
Oh my fucking god. How can someone be so fucking wrong and not know it?
I don't know. How do you continue playing Final Fantasy XIV? Like, it's the same thing.
How do you... I'm ignoring anything bad you say about Final Fantasy, by the way. I am living the dream, bro. But literally, you just spewed a whole bunch of nonsense, and at no point did you stop yourself and go, I'm speaking nonsense. How does that happen?
Everyone considers a madman, a genius a madman until he's proven correct. So there we go. Time will tell. Time will prove me fucking right.
I used to know a guy who collected seeds and would eat the seeds instead of eating food. And he was a crazy fuck. And he was never proven to be a genius. He died a crazy fuck. Sometimes crazy is just crazy.
I'm just saying, I will sit over here with my hoisin duck pizza, and I will be a much happier person than anyone who eats a pepperoni pizza.
No, bro. Pepperoni pizza is fucking sublime. Pepperoni, mushroom, pineapple, extra cheese. Fuck yes. Perfect pizza right there. Although I had my cheat night yesterday, yeah, and I ordered this was fucking gorgeous, dude. I ordered a beef and Guinness pie, right, with mashed vegetables, like proper beef and Guinness pie. It's like proper pie with like fucking shit tons of beef in it. The sauce of the beef is made with Guinness as a base.
Yeah.
So that's and then mash and fucking spinach and sweet potato. Oh
yeah,
beef good, dude.
Beer braised beef is very nice.
Yep. Had the time of my life eating that shit. I was like, oh my god, this is the life. So what else do you guys want to talk about? We have a couple of minutes left. Is there anything else that Jumbo, you and I are gonna have to agree to disagree on that one? Pineapple pizza rolls off the fucking tongue. Both starts with a P. Coincidence?
Yeah, but so does penis. I'm not putting that on a pizza either.
You can hold your penis while eating a pizza?
I'm not putting it on the pizza. Fucking oil burns all over that shit, bitch.
When are you gonna make some gold making videos, Akalon? Never. Why would I do that? Is pepperoni not made of penis? No. If you watch Taliesin's video defending WoW token, I can't do that, dude. I can't listen to anyone defending the WoW token. But I'm not surprised. Taliesin defends anything Blizzard does. The only time Taliesin will not defend Blizzard is if it like upsets one of the other groups that he finds needs his defense. Yeah? So if, for example, it upsets like the women at Blizzard, right? That's a group that Taliesin believes deserves his defense. So then he will sacrifice his precious Blizzard to defend the women at Blizzard. Yeah? For everything else, it's actually what's surreal to me is Taliesin is a self-prescribed communist, I think, right? Is he a socialist or a communist?
He's a fucking moron. Like, it doesn't matter because it won't actually be attributed to anything else. Like, he will say he's one thing if that suits his argument at the time, and then he'll say something else when it suits his argument at that time. He literally is just the fair weather fucking cunt of everything.
True, but so he's a socialist, yeah, and yet he defends a corporation. I need you to...
Makes sense, bro.
Yeah, this needs to sink in. It's a socialist that defends a corporation. And TGO, I don't have a problem with Taliesin's content. I think there are videos that Taliesin makes that's absolutely amazing. He has had some incredible videos. His video, for example, about the maps. It was very good. It was very well done. It was really fucking good. I have no problem with the guy. What I don't like is when someone... So I don't like people that speak out of both sides of their mouth, right? That I don't like. And that usually pisses me off. Is when someone says something one day and then the next day they say something else. That fucking irritates me. And I will call that out. I have no problem calling that out. I called Taliesin out multiple times on Twitter before he muted me. I called him out because he would have bad fucking takes and I would say, no, that's a bad fucking take. Why do you have a bad take? And if he wants to take that personally, that's really his choice. I don't have any personal grudges against him.
But there's also the weird, like, conflation of the argument as well that people latch onto quite frequently. You can definitely not like a personality, but still approve of content. Look at Michael Jackson, Lost Prophets, Freezy if you want to stay stuck to WoW. Wrathgate, good content. Person who made it, bad content. Like, yeah. There's a really big difference between the two.
No. He has multiple times. Especially where it came out the most was in his sort of weird war with Asmongold. Like he went off on Asmongold to the point where most of his own subscribers couldn't fucking take it anymore because he was contradicting himself consistently. Like he'd say one thing, right? And then, like, he'd accuse Asmongold of one thing, and then fucking 2 minutes later, he's doing the fucking thing that he accuses Asmongold of. And it's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, fuck me. At least stick to your own rules here, right? You're making up rules now, yeah? So at least stick to those fucking rules. I love Pilav. He's funny as fuck, that guy. But no, at the end of the day, like I said before, I will call someone out when I think that they deserve being called out. Yeah. I do not mean it as a personal attack on anyone. Right? I don't really how can I put it? I don't mean anything personal by it. This is why you will never hear me go after Evital or his actual personality, like the kind of person that he is. I attack his views because I think some of his views are fucking stupid, right? And what pisses me off even more is that Taliesin strikes me as a rather intelligent individual, although albeit uneducated, right, about a number of things. Yeah, but that's sort of the thing for me. I'll attack his views, I'll attack the shit that he says, but I don't like when you start attacking people personally, right? Because that's when you sort of cross the line. And I've done it myself, so I'm not really sitting here going, "Oh my god, I'm just so much better than everyone else." I never fucking attack anyone else. I do it. I've done it multiple times in the past. I've had to apologize multiple times in the past for making things personal, especially when you get heated. Yeah. I'm human. I'm gonna make mistakes. I also remember him refusing to apologize for the things that he did to Asmon, and when he did finally issue an apology, it was basically a non-apology. Milo, how you doing, bro? So yeah, although I don't think Asmongold needs me to defend him. I'm just saying. So yeah, but I would prefer if I would prefer if we don't discuss other content creators in the stream, specifically negatively, because I don't have any beef with any content creator. I couldn't care less. Whatever they do, good luck, you know. Good luck to all of you. To all of them, rather. I don't really care, if that makes sense. It's not nice to attack people. True. Don't watch them anyway. After that, next topic. So what do you guys want to talk about? One final topic for the evening. Let's hear it.
So I do have WoW lore speculation I was going to save until tomorrow, but I think people are desperate for any kind of lore speculation at the moment, right?
Yes, I think so. I would argue that there's a lot of people that need lore.
I don't know. It's kind of confusing because I think that people want story, but they're so against Blizzard at the moment in the direction the story's going that they just get mad whenever they hear it anyway.
True. My comment section can attest to that. I put out a video about WoW and my entire comment section is like, fuck this dead game. What the fuck are you talking about? No one cares. Blizzard doesn't even give a shit about their own game. And then I make a video about Final Fantasy and I get people going, where's the WoW lore, bro? I say, I don't know, you fucking asshole. What do you want? Should I merge the two? So, by the way, I was doing this quest for Monfilia and Thrall showed up. You would not fucking believe it. He's a champion. We need you back in Azeroth. I'm like, but Eorzea. No, you can come back to Eorzea later. Let's go to Azeroth quick. So I hopped on the nearest fucking airship. And I was off to fucking Azeroth. But what's the lore tidbit that you have for us? Or the speculation?
So it's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and it's been confusing the fuck out of me. Mm-hmm. But to a certain extent, every time we see a merging of those Cosmo forces, it's always been when Arcane has been present. I can't find any instance throughout the entirety of the history of there being more than one cosmological force in a single entity that hasn't been fixed with Arcane. Like, you get the unstable versions and then they inevitably go wrong and one takes over. But to have a stable fusion requires Arcane. So that means that the entire cosmology is predicated on a requirement of the Titans being a thing. And the first ones are predicated on the Titans being a thing.
But that's only if we argue that the Titans themselves are the originators of Arcane. It's only according to their cosmological map that Arcane comes from them.
It's not just them though. It's also in the Grimoire, but it's also in the description of the Nether. Like the Nether is the source of Arcane.
Yeah, but hold on. If you say it's also in the Grimoire was written by them. So still, the only source
Grimoire
that
was
we
written by
have.
brokers.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the Grimoire. But then again, for some reason, I heard Grimoire. I thought fucking
Chronicles.
Chronicles. Yeah. I'm literally blocking out the Grimoire. It's as if that book was never written. Anyway, continue.
So, like, you have the Nether, which would be the source of Arcane, but the only ones to ever really wield it properly have been Titans. So that's why I say that the rest of the cosmology depends on Titans being a thing, because otherwise it would have been in complete chaos. They did their thing, they ordered it, they bound the Arcane, which stopped it becoming unstable, allowing the cosmology to even exist in the first place.
Wait, you said the Nether. The Nether is filled with foul.
No. The Nether itself is filled with Arcane. It's a concentration of Arcane that turns it to fel. It's when it becomes unstable that it becomes fel.
Yeah, but that's the point. The Nether is Arcane that became is filled with Arcane that became unstable. Because according to the cosmology map, Arcane comes from them, from the realm of order. So are you suggesting that the realms of order lie somewhere within the Nether?
I think they're connected, yeah. I don't know if they're within or if they have been pocket dimensioned, basically. But we know that the Nether is just pure Arcane. It's from the instability of the Arcane that the fel comes from. So yes, within the Nether there will be fel, but it's predominantly Arcane that has turned into fel. So there's still Arcane in essence, and you can then filter off the fel and turn it back to Arcane, as we've seen with quite a few instances in WoW when it comes to people, Xavius for example, and other fel cleansed creatures. So we have this realm of disorder that is actually the base for the realm of order. So it has to be connected to the Nether somehow. And it's only through the Titans being there, the active personages of enacting this order, that the rest of the cosmology can even stay stable.
But that's not necessarily the case. Because if you think about how the Twisting Nether came into being, it was clashes between the light and the void, right? That created this pocket dimension, so to speak, that is just absolutely brimming with either Arcane or unstable Arcane, right? Which unstable Arcane would still be Arcane. It's just not stable, right?
Exactly.
Now, we call it foul. Warlocks specifically and demons call it foul. But it is at its core. We've had this discussion before, right? Where you can basically make an argument for Arcane being the basis of almost every piece of magic, just in various different forms. And that a good argument for it would be that Arcane... So I'm with you on the whole building blocks of the universe being the Arcane. 100% absolutely agreed. Where I would sort of break off or veer off from your speculation into a different sort of realm, if you will, of speculation, is in saying the Titans describe this sense of being, right, as how the Twisting Nether came into being and how they brought order to the universe. But that still doesn't mean that they themselves are the originators of Arcane. It just means that they funneled Arcane. Now, that doesn't mean that without them, Arcane wouldn't have found a way. It would have perhaps been far more chaotic, and it may have taken a lot longer, but it is possible that the Arcane could have found a different way, a different vehicle, so to speak, in order to also create everything that we have now, albeit maybe a little bit more or slightly more chaotic. So the main argument that I would sort of, or the main point that I would pose to you is there a world in which you can provide evidence is a strong word when we're coming to speculation, right? Support to suggest that the Titans themselves, if not originated, could solely have been responsible for the direction of Arcane and the ordering of Arcane?
So you kind of blurred the point a little bit, so do let me clarify. That Arcane is the building block. That's what's the fundamental core of everything. It's the Titans and their ordering that allows the cosmology to remain stable.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a way that if the Titans weren't there, the cosmology could exist, but it would be a much more violent kind of conflict-driven cosmology cycle rather than a stable cosmology that we have at the moment. And that is essentially what we've been told the first ones are. So that is kind of predicating on the first ones can't return unless the Titans are successful.
So they're sort of the heralds of the first ones coming.
They're the only ones with the ability currently to be able to make it happen. They're the only ones that can actually flick the switch, so to speak.
In that argument, though, Zovaal would need the Titans.
Yes, he does.
Unless Zovaal is a Titan himself.
Unless he has an ability to gain that same knowledge, which may be what is housed in the Sepulchre. We don't know, because Blizzard haven't given any fucking information on that whatsoever, because that's mystery. So, yeah, I mean, that could be essentially what it is the ability to work out how the Titans bound things. And the fact that is Arcane, and that's the reason they need the Titans still. So that means that the cycle actually works. It's just it didn't work from his perspective or point of view, which is a thing that Blizzard are big on fucking pushing at the moment.
I mean, here's the thing, right? So I can make a very good argument for Sarger or Zovaal not being anything like the other Eternal Ones. Even though they call him brother.
Yeah.
He's nothing like them. He's considered to be far more powerful than them. He is far more powerful than any of them. You know, even the Primus couldn't stop him. No one can stop him. He is just stupidly powerful.
Yeah.
He's described as Titan++. Only him. None of the others. So what if...
Currently, yes. That doesn't mean his original form was the same power.
No. I'm not saying his original form was the same power.
No, that was more to address the comments in chat.
All right. What if Zovaal was originally a Titan serving on the Order Pantheon? Given the task of watching over the realms of death? And what if a Titan that is infused with anima becomes incredibly fucking powerful? Something similar to what Sargeras did when he got infused with Val. The power levels that he himself reached, right?
Exactly.
So, in that regard, Zovaal wouldn't need the Titans, because he would already have that knowledge of how to direct and sort of control the flow of Arcane. Correct?
Potentially, yes. I mean, we don't know that all the Titans have the same knowledge. We know that they were all involved in the process for the most part. But like Agramar ordered Draenor all by himself, all by his lonesome, and did just as well as the entire Pantheon did on Azeroth.
Yeah.
So does that mean that Eonar and Khaz'goroth and Norgannon don't actually know as much as even Agramar did? Or is it just they all have the same innate collective knowledge? Because if it's the latter, then as soon as Azeroth wakes up, boom, fuck everyone else, she can do it all, right?
No, evidence suggests that she wouldn't be able to. Because she can already do a hell of a lot of things. She already clearly understands certain things about herself, right? And how her own powers work and how her own powers manifest. So it might be that it is just innate. They just know these things, right? So basically, this is where, in real world terms, we would talk about sort of DNA memory, right? So it's just in their memory. It's in their DNA. It's who they are. It's possible. Although I see your point and I see your sort of posits against the theory. Ultimately, I do want to say Berserker. I don't even think Blizzard knows where Argus fits into this entire thing. Because Argus was supposed to be the one that brings down the Arbiter. That would have been a perfect story. Instead, it was Denathrius that brought down the Arbiter. So it's like, well, you know... Okay, so where does Argus fit into this entire thing? Is Argus just the boss that was supposed to be killed and we should never have cared about him again? Or is there actually a story to Argus? I would love if there was an actual story to Argus. I don't think there will be, though. It feels... I just get the feeling... I don't think there will be. Yeah, I get the feeling that Blizzard moved away from Argus as quickly as possible. Argus was meant to be the end of Sargeras. And that was it. Yeah. Argus was meant to be the end of Sargeras. That is the idea that I get. I guess to sort of put it to you guys as a final topic of conversation. Myself and Apocalypse have spoken about this a number of times, so we'll let you guys in on the secret. I think Balila spoke about this as well. WoW, as we knew it, so old school, classic, TBC, Wrath, Cataclysm, Mists, even Warlords of Draenor, Legion, and then BFA. WoW ended in Legion. The stories as we knew it ended in Legion. And I believe the reason it all ended in Legion is because Steve Denuser came in as a writer and he was basically forced to write someone else's story, you know? He was brought in and they told him, here's the story, write it. And he's like, yeah, but I don't want to write this. I want to write other things. Like, well, we have to write this now. So they brought it to an end in Legion, wrapped it up, and in BFA, he could start writing the story that he wanted to write, the things that he wanted to do. And that's why World of Warcraft feels so very different coming from Legion into BFA and then finally into Shadowlands. This is why I believe BFA was so rushed.
Oh, yeah.
It's why I think N'Zoth was so rushed. He needed to finish N'Zoth. It was the final fucking story that he still had to struggle with, and so he just finished N'Zoth so that he could now move on and properly write his new story, right? The ultimate story that he was now going to be a part of. Do you have anything that you want to add to that, Apocalypse?
I mean, like, it's, definitely a well-known thing at this point that the story ran out in Legion. They changed direction. BFA was the segue, so to speak, the way to kind of ease people into a new story direction. And Shadowlands is the pilot episode of the new series. Like, they've got rid of all the main cast. They fucked off the things you actually liked about the series. And they're doing Game of Thrones 2, but starting with season 8.
Yeah. That's the sad part of it. That is the sad part. We'll see. Maybe Steve Denuser does a 180 and turn around. I have this sad feeling, like this sad feeling in my stomach that Steve Denuser, after seeing the response to the story that he dreamt up, I think he's going to do a complete 180. I don't know why. I feel it in my gut. Just have this feeling, the silence that they're working on now, the removal of the storylines for Torghast, right? Which a lot of it involves Sylvanas and the stories of Sylvanas, right? The fact that they're removing all of that, it feels like what they're doing is they're setting up for a complete reversal. They want to reverse the story to be for all of these fuck-ups.
Kind of. You and CD actually both have the point, I think. From my perspective, what's going to happen is he is going to double down by saying that it was all planned to be shady and shit because I had this twist planned that just goes back and reverts it all and makes it all completely pointless and a waste of time.
Yeah. Well, either way, that's still a reversal, right? The ultimate thing where we get to is a moment in time where we're basically told none of that matters, right? And Gracie, you are correct. It is bad writing at this point. There's nothing really that can be said for the writing in World of Warcraft that can save the writing at this moment in time. I don't see how else he can really save the game, right? I don't see how else he can really save it, because he's painted himself into so many corners now, and it would have been one thing if he painted himself into corners that he had to kill a bunch of characters off, because you can always introduce new characters. It's far worse when you paint yourself into a corner where the only way out of that corner is to kill off a bunch of characters, and the entire audience for whom that story is meant rejects the story, right? They completely reject it. They're like, no, we don't want this. What do you do now? Right?
Yeah. Like, you are kind of stuck, right? You have to, at that point, you have to Dallas it. You have to have them wake up and he's in the shower. He wasn't just shot. Like, that's what it is. It was all just a dream. Never mind. Yeah. Don't worry about it. It never happened. It was another timeline. We sent Wolverine back to the past and made it all not happen. So don't worry that she didn't die. She didn't get shanked up in a meaningful death of a character, but she's back and we're doing Dark Phoenix really badly. So yeah, that's just the way it is now, isn't it? Like,
as many as one says, he's only in a corner from a certain point of view.
he's jellyfished himself. Like, he's got into the corner and he can't turn around because jellyfish don't have that capability. They can only go forward. So he's stuck in a corner of a circular fucking bubble that he now cannot move. And someone has to come in and break his bubble so that he can be free.
Yeah, it's sad but true. And it just, like I said, it's at the pit of my stomach. It's not something that I believe so purely that I would bet money on it. But I just get this feeling in the pit of my stomach that he's going to change it. He's going to write this story, basically almost doubling back on the whole story, just walking it back a little and going, oh, no, never mind. The tree actually didn't burn, as it were, or whatever. That's sort of the feeling that I get.
Yeah,
I don't see any other way out, unless he wants to really double down and go through, which will probably then mean that, because here's the problem: your foundation, anticipate to take care of yourself, bro. Thank you so much for hanging out. Your foundation, so the very first book that you wrote, was rejected. The players rejected, the audience rejected your intro. Your big intro. This is it. The movie is started. Everyone turned off the movie and said, nah, fuck it. Don't want to watch. If you now continue, people are just going to continue not to watch, right? Because they said they don't like this. This is not what they want to see. So you're really in a tough spot if you're Steve Denusa right now.
Oh, yeah.
You're really in a tough spot. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I thank all of you for hanging out with myself and Apocalypse. From myself and the viewers, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. It was an absolute pleasure to have you.
You're welcome, dude.
As always, chat from myself and Apocalypse. Thank you so much for hanging out. It has been a pleasure. I need to go pee and I need to go eat. I'm fucking starving and I haven't had any food yet today. So it's that time of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, be kind to each other, be good to each other, take care of yourselves, and as always, we will see you in the next one. Peace out, fam.